It's interesting doing a live presentation because all kinds of things can happen. Well, good morning, everybody. This is the Smart Networker, and I'm Dave Rolfe. And it is February 6th, and we still have people coming in, so we'll let them come in and get situated. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll get this presentation underway. All right. Thank you, everybody, for muting. That's really appreciated. And here we go. So this is a fascinating topic. I understood it early in my career, but it wasn't till later that I really realized that it is a technology. And if we understand the word technology, then we understand what that means. So if you all got your dictionary on your phone going and clicked in technology, and the definition of that is the practice application of knowledge, especially in a particular area. So technology is, it's not just an Apple phone or a computer. Basically, it's an application of knowledge. And if you understand how this works, then it's really quite beneficial. Okay, so we have a technology in building our business, and it's very important to understand. So what I really learned from my time in the business was the importance of understanding our structure and how it works. There is a tech to understand, and if it's not understood, then success could be very tough for you. If understood, then watch out. There are no limits. Now, the more generations you develop below you in depth, the larger your organization gets, and this plays a significant role in your success and income long term. And I think that should be fairly obvious from everything that you guys know. However, one of the areas that most people miss here is the ability to explain this to others. So they hear what you are saying and understand what you're saying so that they can use the information. So in other words, they understand enough to hopefully want to move forward and apply what they learned from what you said and explained. So let's take a look at this in the sense of structure. So one gets one, and now there are two. So you doubled in size. I mean, that's what we've all probably thought about that and sat with a piece of paper. On your first level, you have one, but there's now two of you moving forward, building the business. Now, what if each one of you found another? So this is two gets two, right? Now there are four of you. You've doubled again. Your group has grown with two first level and one on your second, plus yourself. Now, this would be ideal. And if it kept going, then it would be massive, right? But it doesn't really work like that exactly. So let's take a look. So here's the double theory. U plus A equals 2. Okay, makes perfect sense. Now let's double that. U get another one, that's B, and A gets another one, that's A1, so that equals 4. So 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, 32 becomes 64, and on from there. That's not, it's the penny doubled concept and theory. Okay. Now, I want to slightly tweak your understanding on this because it's critical moving forward. It falls under the general understanding of how the business works. Now, the simple answer is when people buy products and when people become consultants and continue on helping people buy products and helping people become consultants. When a consultant sees activity below in the organization, this is quite motivational and validates the workability of the system. And if there's nothing below that person, then this is demotivating and creates doubt. So creating activity below anyone is the first step to create a long-lasting team that produces for years to come. So let's look at a stronger way to get to 4. So U plus A equals 2. Now U plus A and B under A equals 4. Now let's talk about this for a second. So in the previous slide, you end up with the same number of 4. You double the size of your team, and you have a motivated frontline A who now has 2 consultants underneath. Let's go back to what's really important. Seeing activity below you is very motivational. So you can move below your frontline and help them. And that's really what your job is. Don't wait for it to happen, make it happen. So your focus is on A, build a team, which is your team, which helps you reach your goal. Having a team forces responsibility. Interesting. And it forces help and motivates one to continue to build. The bigger it gets, the more fun it becomes, obviously. So here's the example. So you're building a team. So you get A, or if somebody gets A, you help A build and sponsor and create a team, and you're the support system, and you're operating like a partnership. I can't tell, every single person that I built in this business was built on this concept. So if I helped A get A1, A2, and A3, I now have 4 people, and I've now got the structure developing. Well, let's look at what happens here. 4 then go get a couple of people each, or 1, and who's helping them? You and A are helping A1, A2, and A3 get to the 3rd level. So you get 5 there, you've got 9, and then you go to the 4th level and you get 10 there, and you've got 19 people under one team. And that could be a really good definition of a team. But let's look at this, because this is really important. Now, based on the previous couple of slides, you can see what has done to create a team for A, and it turned into 19 consultants. Now, as this team continues to grow, many leaders will emerge and will continue more growth and will continue to create volume, which in turn generates commissions, overrides, and bonuses. And this can go on for a very long time. For me now, it's over 32 years. So that's a long time. However, if we go back to the first picture with 1 also sponsoring, so the sponsor is sponsoring, the downline sponsoring at the same time to get started, the first consultant doesn't grow as fast enough to get what they want, they can quit. So if they don't grow fast enough, they don't see that it's workable, they create doubt in their mind, then they're not sure of what to do, it's frustrating, whatever, then they quit. Now, guess what happens to you? You got to start all over again. And that's a complete waste of time, let me tell you. Both ways can accomplish what you want. So I'm not saying that you can't do that. But, however, the second picture creates greater strength, stability, and longevity, and the potential for long-term residual income. Anybody in our business that has a big check has got depth and this kind of a concept. Okay, so let's now look at the building blocks, and this is very important. So silver is the first of the leadership levels, and one must reach silver to move on to the rest of the compensation plan. So the first group of building blocks are those that create silvers and also help maintain your monthly qualifications. So that's your customers, your directs, your seniors, your executives. And so with that information, you can plan and strategize to create that first level of leadership called silver. So these are building blocks. Now, this is a kind of a definition, and this is for use for a new person or to help build a structure and an organization. Okay. The second building blocks, now we could define these like bricks for a wall. So if you're building a brick wall, so your building blocks are your bricks. Your business is made up of groups of consultants, and instead of bricks, they're called silvers, golds, platinums, diamonds, and royal diamonds. Now, if you look at the qualifying values for each, this then becomes clearer. First, we have the rank and qualifications, followed by the monthly requirements. So if we look at, you can read this, this will be printed out for you. You can print it out and follow along. But so if we look at gold, for example, the gold is 15,000 points. Also, you need to have 5,000 outside the primary production leg and 1,500 outside the primary and secondary. And then on a monthly basis, you have to do 1,500 and 100. Now, from the standpoint of you looking at this, what if you had 10 golds in your structure? What would that look like? See, that's the concept that you want to look at. The value of creating a person or a consultant to one of these levels. And we're going to explore this so that you really understand this. But read your comp plan to understand the value of each rank. It's very, very important. Now, in creating the building blocks, so in the previous picture you saw we had 19 consultants, each do an average of, let's say 500 points. There's 9,500 points. So that's a silver plus. 19 consultants each do an average of 1,000 points. That's 19,000. That's a gold. 19 consultants each do an average of 2,000 points. There's 38,000. That's a platinum. And if we look at 19 consultants who do an average of 5,000 points, the total is 100 grand, and that's diamond. So you can see how to look at this. So 19 consultants that do an average of 16,000 points, there's 300,000, there's royal. Now let's just tweak this a little bit, and instead of individuals, make it teams. So instead of 19 individuals, we now have 19 teams that reach these various ranks. And you see how this works and why it is important to understand structure. Okay, so let's take a look at some other important components of this. So the first is a word called duplication. Now, this is a key point, and this is talked about a lot, and duplication means to go over again, often, repeat. It also means got what you said. So if I said to my son, and he was a young teenager, and I said, you can go out tonight, but I want you back by 11 o'clock. Now, if he duplicated that request, would he be back at 11 o'clock? Absolutely. If he ignored me, didn't listen and didn't pay attention, and then came home at 2 o'clock, then he hadn't got the instruction duplicated properly. So now, then what do you want to duplicate becomes the question. Would it be the activity or the style or method being used or the personality? No, the answer is simple. It's understanding and applying the activity, but in your style, based on who you are, your background, education, and knowledge. And the unique thing about Nikan and any others in this type of business is everybody's different. So it's more than likely everybody's going to do something slightly different. So that's the key here. So if you wanted to create a gold, then you want to duplicate the activities that would create a gold. That's the concept. That's the idea. So understanding could be something that is duplicated. So if I tell a prospect something, I want him to duplicate what I said, which creates understanding. And if one understands completely, then actions can be done and results can be created. Very, very, very important. Let's look at this word, qualify. Now, this term in our business has two meanings. The first would apply specifically to the requirements of the compensation plan. And there are certain criteria that one needs to do to qualify to earn or to achieve a rank. You saw this in an earlier slide for each of the ranks and the monthly requirements to get paid on the volumes created. And again, refer to your compensation plan to get all of the information. The second meaning is in your activities of finding both consumers and consultants. And here's the question: are they qualified? Are they able to do? Do they meet the standards that you want and the requirements that you need? So I'm going to give you a little example here. Back in the day when I was in another industry, I was seeking investors to invest in a project that was sponsored by the federal government. So the first step was to reach out and find people to communicate with, and then make myself known. Okay. Once I made myself known, then the question was find out if they would be interested in being involved, or do they invest, or do they partake? And that was part of the qualifying process. And then from there, if they were, then I would send them the information. Now, again, this is a process that's very important, because here's what typically happens in our business. You go out, you're uneducated, you don't know what to say, you don't know what to learn, you're told just go make a mess. And then you start talking to everybody you know, and all you get is rejection, 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 rejection. Now, for the most part, most people were simply not qualified. It wasn't that they were rejecting you, they just weren't the right person. So what I found in my experience, if I look for the right person that I need, then it's very simple. So this is really interesting in the sense of understanding that concept, that term. Okay. Vested interest was the title of my book, and I wrote in 1999. And the definition is this: a personal interest in a state of affairs with the understanding of gain. So what I observed over time is if the income somebody had was greater than any qualifying requirement, which then creates the need to qualify. So again, this is a really simple statement, but very important. So we all know that there's qualifying. You saw what the qualifying figures were. So if the income that you're going to receive is greater than the amount you need to qualify, then you're going to qualify all the time. Now, the definition of qualify in this sense is an activity of creating either volume for the plan or helping build an existing consultant to rank, which would help create volume. The latter point is not a requirement of the plan, but it is a requirement for success. So that's an important statement. So the plan doesn't require that you have other silvers or golds or platinums, but if you want to make it a success, then that is a requirement to create success. But what I learned, one very, very important law here in building this business, and was that when someone has generated enough volume in their group and organization that will create an income greater than that qualifying requirements, the individual will always qualify to get the benefits. And this is your residual income. So the concept is simple. So if you're a gold and you're doing 50,000 a month or whatever, maybe no, you're platinum making 50,000 a month in volume, and you have to do 1,000 points to get paid on that volume, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to qualify. So the key for your organization is help people get to that point, and that becomes the strategy and the idea of the tech in our structure. Targets. A target is something that one aims at. It's a step, it's an achievement. Now, what's really fascinating about this concept is that each step has seen that becomes, that you've seen so far, is the target to go after. So it's one step at a time. Doesn't really matter which one, but you start with picking one. So sometimes you can set a target and go past it and achieve a second or third target. Okay, so that's important. But if you set targets that can be reasonably done based on circumstances, then that's the best way to play. Therefore, the key here is to understand the requirements of each step and the activities that would be needed to reach them. So again, this is a learning point in the sense of you're helping somebody else and you're directing traffic and you're creating a result. So what do you want to focus them on? Activities that they can do within their realm, but a target that can be reached. So if, for example, you're doing a powerhouse, or if you're doing going silver's in a month. So what you really want to understand with the going silver part is what's required to do that. Not so much, you're going to get into doing the activities, but first you have to identify what is required to get that job done. Same thing with what's required to get a powerhouse done, so that you can plan and strategize, because it's going to be the activities that are important. So this is a key understanding here. Now, target attainment. This is how you win, by setting a target and attaining that target as planned. You set a target to recruit a new consultant. Well, what activities do you need to do in order to get this done? So you list out what the activities are, and that's your to-do list. So make a list of potential candidates, make calls, do 3-ways, ABCs, talk to everyone you can, get people to meetings or intro events, make sure they are qualified, definition number 2. Keep doing this until you reach your target. Okay, and write down and now here's really important. Write down everything you do and add this to your list to pass on to the next person, because it's what you do that you discover that works, gives somebody else an idea of what they can do. Okay, here's the concept of growth for this. So if you look at the first level, if you teach them to do the same, that could 3 could go to 9 or more. 9 on the second level, that could go to 27 and 27. So what here's really the message of this concept is each level going down gets bigger. Now, it doesn't work like this. The numbers aren't exact. You could go 3, you could go 5, you could go 20, you could go 40, you could go, so again, it's the concept that you really want. So this is why depth is so important and structure becomes our technology. If you don't understand how to see it and make it work, then you're not going to get the prize. And you're going to see why very shortly. Add into this all the various activities, you can understand how this works and how it can create the benefits that you want. Now, it's actually quite simple, but it's an important point to see and understand how to put it together properly. Now, here is a really, really important aspect to talk about and explain. So the idea is, activities of the group and how they compound. This idea is so important. Most don't even see it or use it. And it's the idea is this: your organization is your team. And the more in your whole team, the more results that can be created. So if, for example, you had 10 in your team, then every activity you do, or the group does, or individuals, or we as networkers do, could then be multiplied by 10. So take a look at customers. So you have 10 in your group, you could actually create 10 new customers at a time. If you had 10 consultants, you could create 10 new consultants. How about if you had 100 or 1,000? See, this is where the potential is. So the more team, the more energy is created, both in activity and income. So it's an important concept to get. Now, the economy of your team. Now, this was something that I studied for years, observed, saw, participated with, and is critical. The economy of your team could mean the viability of your team. And if you don't understand the word viability, look it up. It's a really neat word. But the purchasing power of your team, the spending ability of your team is the viability. So this then is a key point to the results you're creating throughout your entire organization and team. The economic viability creates energy. Okay, so it creates energy, and it's this energy that stimulates growth and expansion and the overall survival of your team. So let's just give, you can look at examples. Let's finish this and then do that. So in the end, our economic viability depends on the group's economic viability. And the group's economic viability depends on the individual team members. So, and your viability is going to come about from those two factors. So if we look at it and then say you had 20 people in your group and they were all making $10,000 a month, there's $200,000 worth of energy that's in your team that allows for growth, that allows for marketing, allows for going to events, it allows for buying product, and it's really an important aspect. So if we look at countries, if we look at society in general, countries that have large volumes of production create a better economy. California is the 4th largest economy in the world. And it's a lot of people are doing very well to create that economy, and therefore survival is more viable. Well, you take that concept and then you look at your group, and that's what you're trying to accomplish. Don't forget this. It's really crucial. Okay, where to start? Well, based on experience, there are many ways to start, and it all depends on what the objective is and what are the circumstances of the individual you're speaking with. This is probably the most critical statement I could ever make. It's what are the circumstances of the individual you're speaking with? Because again, this is what we do, is we help other people. So we got to find out what's important to them. And if we do, then we can hit a home run. If we don't, we lose. So one could start at the customer level and then work over time at getting their own wellness home and then become a consultant. And the stars there, that's the kind of the powerhouse strategy right now. One could start at direct or senior or executive. Okay, this all depends on the objective, the need, the plan, and the strategy. But it is always a good idea to understand what can happen with each, especially in the speed of growth and the potential for earnings and, of course, benefits of the products. So again, it's the return on investment concept that you really want to get down when you're talking about this business, because this is very important to understand. If somebody comes in and they become a consultant and they buy a water bottle, they're really not doing themselves any good. And you're not doing them any good either. That's a complete waste of time. And what we found, people are signing up consultants and aren't doing anything. So again, you really have to think with this because again, you're building something. You're not, just creating a bunch of, people that sign up and don't do anything. And this is important. Even if you're brand new and you've never done this, again, you can build it correctly and make it win and grow and expand for a long time. Okay. Focus on the activities. Here you want to understand the core activities that will create the result that you want. On the next slide, we're going to look at some basic activities. I put this together a while ago, and here is the importance of all this. Results come about because an activity was done to create the result. Simple. So the number of or the style can be important, but the key is numbers of. After the result is created, you can monitor both activity to result, and we'll talk about this on another call. So here's the key activities. Let's take a look. Who to speak to, what to speak about, learn about the products, company history, how to place an order, how to sign up a new distributor, learn the compensation plan, and presenting, evaluating a business. I mean, those are the basics, right? And if you learn to do those, and that's all I did was do those things, all of them. And as a result, it created, and everybody else that I've seen do this business did exactly the same thing. So that would be step number one. Planning. First, establish what you want as a goal or objective. And let's say that's 5,000 in income. Now, the key for you is to understand what this means in terms of structure, followed by activities. So again, it'd be like building a $1 million home, a 5-bedroom home, a 3-bedroom home, a 2-bedroom condo, whatever it is that you're trying to do. If you understand the structure needed, then you can understand the activities that would be required. And I know that to earn this in an organization must generate approximately 160,000 in retail valued sales. Now I've just thrown in a slightly different term here, but the retail of the sales value at 160,000 would generate approximately a $5,000 residual income. So using the values just listed, you could now plan how this could be accomplished. Now 160,000 could easily put one at diamond, and therefore you would earn to the 5th level. And you got this from reading the compensation plan. And of course, the next most important thing is create that picture. Get that on your wall, just like you went to the architect and he was telling you how to build a house and he created a picture for you. Then you've got somebody to look at and keep motivated about. So let's look at this. This is the kind of the planning stage, and this is fun. So the goal, 160,000 retail volume, how could this be accomplished? So, well, what if you did 11 goals in your whole structure? What does a goal do? 15,000 points. So 11 times 15, that's 165,000. So really, when you look at 165,000, that's only 11 people that are doing gold. Or you could do 5 platinums in 1 gold, or you could do 2 platinums plus 6 golds plus 2 silvers, or you could do 1 diamond plus 2. You get the idea. It's all, the combinations are probably endless, but and you will also see greater possibilities when you do this. And this is just the first step. The rest is that it becomes a lot of fun. Okay. So there's a picture of your goal. Now, this was for 8,000, but there was a platinum in there for 5,000. And again, it gives you the idea of, people come into this business and kind of wondering how it works or where to go. They've never seen a picture. It's not studied in school, and again, what I found that these kind of pictures are actually critical to showing somebody how it works. And you're going to see something else that's really important down the line that'll make even more sense. So create the picture of your goal and then of the goals of the people that you're trying to get involved. Okay. One step at a time. Here's the runway. So the steps are customer, direct, senior, exec, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, royal diamond. Those are the steps. Do one at a time. And again, I went from platinum to diamond, took me 2 years. Okay. It took me 2 years to go to platinum to diamond. Fine. So what? It took me 2 years. The idea was I did that step and I got to the next level. Just like everything else, I did follow each step. And this is, again, the target and target attainment. So you set the target and that's it. Understand what's made. And then you just go like the wind until you get the job done. Don't turn back. Don't look sideways, up or down. Just go straight forward and keep doing the activities till the result is created. And then the same thing, diamond to royal diamond took me 2 years. But that was 25 years ago. So again, if you do it, it just keeps going and going and going. But you see how it grows, and that's exactly how my business grew. So it's very important to understand this. Help build. Now, this is by far probably the most important picture. You help A, build and sponsor a team. Be the support as if you were operating like a partnership. So you find a person A that wants to do what you do. Then as a team, you work together to help A get A1, A2, and A3, and then help them get level 3 and help them get level 4. There's your 19 people. And that just grows from there. But what do you think the mindset of A is? He's very excited. He's very excited, very motivated. Now, my first person I did this with, we went down probably farther, 6 or 7 levels, created a number of silvers. I did the same thing with my second person and the same thing with my third. I didn't move on till my second person until my first person was at this kind of a structure. Because again, if you focus on the right areas, you get the stability. If you just sponsor A and don't help him do anything else, A's got 2 things can happen. He can either make it or not. But why not be responsible and help make it and get the job done versus hoping or wishing that it happened? Different mindset. Okay. Now remember, A has to want to play. I mean, this is a real important aspect. It's not just, sign up somebody because they think it is. If they're not fully qualified, they don't meet what you want to meet, make sure you understand and create that criteria for yourself. It's really very important. Now, understand where the benefits are. And again, this is an area that most people don't even get to see. And this is so very important. And you've learned that the real benefits are going to come from the 4th, 5th, and 6th levels of your structure. So if the real benefits are down 4, 5, and 6, how do you get down there? You got to build 1, 2, and 3. So if you get to 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, then it'll go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It just keeps going. And again, it's simple. It's focusing on those building blocks, setting targets, target attainment, building block. And again, it's the same for everybody else. We're all playing the same game. We're all doing the same thing. So it's just, that's what is duplicated. Not how I did it or somebody else did it, because that's near impossible. So as there are potentially way more consultants than they create new consultants and other new consultants down there. And you saw that from the theory of growth. Now, this you should draw out to see the potential in the numbers and why you want to build your downline, and typically 1 leg at a time. If you have an active upline helping, then this you could probably build 2 or 3 legs at a time if you have somebody above helping you. And again, I've done this several times, and it's really all you're doing is helping to direct traffic, train, create understanding, so that the other person can duplicate what the activity is and how to do it. But 1 leg should keep you busier than a 1-arm paper hanger. And once this begins to develop and grow, and they know what to do and are doing it, then you can move on and start another leg. And this might be somewhere after silver or maybe even gold. So if we take a look at what's going on right now, you've got the powerhouse, the 18K club, and that whole idea of building a business, that's probably a 4-month run to get somebody to gold. Well, if two of you work together as a team on that, how fast do you think you get? I mean, it's still going to take the same amount of time, maybe a little quicker. But that's the idea. Now, the stability that would be created by you helping somebody get to the 18K club and gold with a number of other people would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. All right, guys, so that's the presentation that I have for today. This will be posted as usual. We'll now go to the live part and we'll get into a Q&A. Stop this. There you go. And I'm going to stop the recording right here. Thanks for being on today. We'll see you on the next Smart Networker call.